Welcome to episode number 8 of WrestleRotica. We apologize for missing last week, but we simply ran out of time in getting ready for the rush of WrestleMania. However, this week we have what was intended to be our WrestleMania special episode. So this week's episode is longer than normal, but it only features 2 stories for normal. The first story is entitled Lesnar Warms Up with Sable, and it stars Brock Lesnar and Sable. The second story is entitled Page of the Fall, and it stars Seth Rollins, Jimmy Jacobs, Paige, Joey Mercury, and Luke Harper. And without further ado, let's get to this week's stories. This story is entitled Lesnar Warms Up with Sable, and it is written by Literotica.com user WWE Killer. It's a few hours before the start of WrestleMania 20. And deep in the bowels of Madison Square Garden, Brock Lesnar is in the gym warming up for his big match with Goldberg later that night on the pay-per-view. He has been in there for nearly 2 hours, and he is covered in sweat. His black tank top and tight white shorts stick to his muscly body. Lesnar reties his white trainers and tests his white socks before he goes back to punching the practice bag. He doesn't hear the door to the gym open, but he does hear something clicking on the concrete floor. Looking around, Brock gasps when he sees Sable walking towards him, clad in just a lacy black bra, panties, stockings, and a tight garter belt. Her black high heels click off the floor as she walks over towards the sweating Lesnar. "Hi, Brock. I need your option on something," Sable says, stood next to him with a cute smile on her face. Panting, Lesnar takes a towel and wipes down his face before answering her. "Sure, Sable. What do you want?" Smiling back at Brock as she watches his eyes trail up and down her sexy body. "Well, Brock, I wanted to ask you if my underwear looks right for my match tonight." Brock gulps as Sable stands in front of him in her sexy lingerie, and his eyes move up and down, admiring every inch of her. "Sable, man, you look fantastic." "Thanks, Brock," Sable says sweetly. "I just wanted to make sure my underwear was alright in case I have my evening gown ripped off." Brock isn't really listening as he stares at Sable's hot body in that tiny bra, and Brock can't help but feel himself getting hard. Sable giggles as she watches Brock's eyes drawn over her body, and judging from the bulge in his training shorts, Sable is sure she made the right choice in coming in here to seduce him. Leaning forward, Sable makes sure Brock gets a firm view of her cleavage before she reaches out and grabs his hard bulge. "I know you have a big match coming up, and I'm here to make sure you get a proper warm-up," the blonde says, licking her lips as her fingers stroke Brock's cock through his shorts. A big smirk appears on Lesnar's face as Sable offers her body to him, and he has always wanted a piece of her ever since she came back to the company. Here she is in the skimpiest lingerie he had ever seen, and he wanted her so badly. Without another second wasted, Brock scoops Sable up in his massive arms and carries her over to the bench press table on the other side of the room. Sable is laid out flat on the well-padded bench and she kicks off her heels as Lesnar pulls off his own shoes and socks in near desperation. "Relax, Brock. You have lots of time to give me the good hard fucking we both want," Sable says in her sluttiest tone of voice, making Brock groan and rub his swelling cock through his shorts. Brock reaches forward and unclips her garter belt and pulls it down her legs and flings the lacy fabric across the empty training room, soon followed by Sable's stockings exposing her tan-shaved legs to the cold air of the room. He tosses them away as well, and he smiles as Sable rubs her barefoot up his torso, and he stares at her pretty red pendant toenails. Her foot slides up Lesnar's top, rubbing his bare abs, and the soft feeling of her foot makes Lesnar even hornier than before. Grabbing the bottom of his tank top, Lesnar damn near tears through the material, showing off his amazing upper body. Sable licks her pink lip gloss lips as she looks at Brock's muscly chest, with sweat slowly dripping down it. Brock then yanks down his shorts, and his 8-inch cock bounces out, fully erect and throbbing for Sable. There is nothing in the world Sable loves more than a big hard man with a big hard cock. Duh! And now she has Brock Lesnar stood in front of her completely naked. Sable can feel her own panties getting damp, as Brock's muscly body is really turning her on. She can feel her own nipples poking into her lacy bra, and without a second thought, she reaches behind her back and unclips the lacy fabric. No sooner has Sable removed her bra, exposing her large plastic breast, than Lesnar has jumped on top of her, rubbing his own hard chest into hers. Pushing his lips forward, Brock kisses Sable's soft lips on the two superstars' embrace on the bench press machine. Sable's rock-hard nipples rub into Brock's chest as he kisses him back, her arms wrapped around his powerful back. Brock pushes his chest down onto her, squashing her tits around his chest, and Brock moans as her chest is soft, and Brock feels his own cock growing against her thighs. Sable moans as she can feel 8 inches of Lesnar's dick pushing against her thighs.
Oh, God.
And she can feel his hard cock head rubbing against her inner thigh, leaving a trail of pre-cum on her tan legs.
That snail is fat! No! That snail is fat!
Brock kisses her again, this time driving his tongue deep down her throat, making Sable squeal with delight as Brock is roughly playing with her body. His hands move down her sides, squeezing the soft flesh of her hips, as his chest pushes into her chest, making them both moan. Breaking the kiss, Lesnar slides his way down Sable's body, his hands touching her big boobs, pulling on the silicone with his fingers, making her moan in pleasure. Brock loves playing with Sable's boobs. He remembers jerking off to her tits when she was in Playboy. And now, years later, here he was, with her hands all over her firm tits. Brock's hands are big and hard, playing with her tits, bringing her so much amazing pleasure, she can't help but groan at every touch. His cock is so hard now. Brock can barely hold on as he moves down her body, grabbing hold of her lace-cut panties. Like an animal, Brock more or less rips them clean off her body, and he gets his first straw, dropping the smell of Sable's fresh-shaved pussy. The smell drives Brock wild, as he can see her juices trickle from her pussy lips, making him so horny. Spreading her legs, Brock leans her head forward, and takes a few licks of her sweet-smelling cunt, tasting her juices. Come on, Brock, stop teasing me and fuck me with your big hard dick. Sable groans in sexual frustration. Hearing one of his idols begging to be fucked is too much for Lesnar, and he wastes no time in placing his throbbing cock at the entrance to her dripping wet pussy. Brock pushes into her pussy and they both moan at the intense sexual contact as his big cock fills up her cunt. Of all the things Brock expected from Sable, he never would have guessed at how tight her pussy was. It was like a vice around his dick, slowly crushing it. But Brock really doesn't care. The look on Sable's face shows how much she wants to be fucked by him, and there's no way he is going to let her down. Thrusting in hard, Brock watches Sable cry out in pleasure as his big cock slides into her wet pussy, pushing every sensitive nerve in her pussy walls. Building up a rhythm, Brock forces his dick in and out of Sable's pussy, fucking her hard, pushing her back and forth on the bench. Pushing his hips backwards and forwards, Brock drives his dick hard into Sable's cunt, making her howl with joy as her pre-cum soaks his thrusting cock. Sable's ass slides across the back seat of the bench as Brock wraps his arms around her hips, concentrating fully on giving Sable a hard fucking. Her blonde hair flicks around as sweat drips from her forehead as Brock fucks her into pleasure. Slamming his hips into her pussy, Brock goes for broke, driving his massive cock into her cunt as hard as he can, hitting her clit, making her eyes roll back into her head, groaning in ecstasy. The weight machine they are lying on is shaking forwards and backwards as Brock fucks Sable hard. Oh! God! Brock! Fuck me hard. Sable cries out as Brock slams her dripping wet pussy. Brock's stiff cock head bounces into Sable's she-spot, making her scream with joy as the powerful orgasm builds up in Sable's body. Letting go of her hips, Brock slides his hands up her flat midsection, then grabbing onto her breast. His fingers play with her hard pink nipples, making Sable arch her back as she moans out loud before she cries out and comes. Her juices soak Brock's large, thrusting cock before dripping out onto the bench press machine, staining the black leather cover. Sable's body shakes in the post-orgasmic waves of joy, her entire body rolling around before stopping to let her sigh with relief. Brock grins as Sable gasps and tries to regain her breath from her huge orgasm. Her face is bright red, and the blonde former women's champion is breathing heavily, trying to get her breath back. Brock pulls out of the sexually filled diva and picks her up and carries her over to a pile of blue gym mats where most of the wrestlers practice their falling and stretching. He drops her to the mat, softly making her moan, as her body is still a little sore and tender from her orgasm. With Sable laying on the mat below him, Brock grabs his cock in his hand and starts to jerk his big cock over her sweaty, naked body. As Brock self-pleasures himself, Sable looks up at Brock's sexy muscle-covered form, jerking himself off to her naked form. Reaching up, Sable wraps her palm around Brock's hard cock and helps the former WWE champion to jerk off his own hard cock. Letting go of his own cock, Brock puts his hands behind his head and lets Sable's well-trained hand do all the work. Oh God, Sable. You are so good. You are such a sexy little slut. Brock groans as her hand flies up and down his shaft. His shaft is still wet from Sable's own juices, and she is using it as lubricant to make her hand move faster over his cock. She gets onto her knees and moves her wrists faster and harder over Lesnar's hard cock, making him groan with pleasure. Sable's face is only a few inches away from Lesnar's cockhead as she pumps his hard dick, and with her sexy face a few inches away from his dick, that image is turning Lesnar on so much. He tries to hold back for as long as he could, but Sable is just too good at handjobs, and it's not long before his balls fill up and he shouts out in joy, and shoots his load all over Sable's model face. Sable shuts her eyes as the warm jizz hits her face, soaking her in sticky cum, and she hears Lesnar's loud growls of joy. After a few seconds, she lets go of Brock's limp dick and opens her eyes to see the pain, sat down on the mat, panting for breath, but staring at her cum-covered face with a massive childlike grin on his face. "You tired yet, baby?" Sable says, sitting down next to the strong wrestler, hugging his arm, wiping her face clean with Brock's workout towel. Brock grins at the blonde sex siren and kisses her on the side of the head. "No, Sable. I've still got a bit of steam left in my tank, because I don't think I've properly worked out yet." Grinning back at Lesnar, Sable rolls up onto her hands and knees, crawling back towards Brock. She turns around, showing off her well-tanned ass to Brock, who licks his lips with pleasure as she shakes her booty for him. Backing up slowly, Lesnar spreads his legs, allowing Sable to crawl backwards towards him, her ass still swinging in the air. Resting her legs around her lips, Sable leans upwards, exposing her asshole to his face, and Brock lips his lips with pleasure. "Baby, you want to give my asshole a good, hard tonguing?" Sable says, dirty talking the ex-champion. Brock doesn't need telling twice as he pushes his tongue in between her tight ass cheeks, flicking the very tip of his tongue against her asshole. She groans as his tongue pushes against her asshole, and Brock digs his nails into her hips, keeping her ass in front of her face. Brock loves the taste of Sable's ass as he forces his tongue deeper and deeper into her tight back passage. Now bucking his head backwards and forwards, Brock is now tongue-fucking Sable's brown tanned ass, making her cry out loud. Sable can feel Lesnar's tongue probing inside of her, and he is fucking her ass hard, and Sable wraps her legs around Lesnar's strong midsection, keeping her ass in his face. Bucking his face backwards and forwards, Brock is pushing his tongue deep into Sable's ass, making the blonde cry out in joy. Both superstars are now moaning and sweating onto the blue practice mats as their bodies are entwined as they fuck. Moving his hands over, Lesnar sinks his hands into Sable's toned, tanned ass cheeks, squeezing the soft flesh of her butt cheeks. His long pink tongue is pushing hard against her anus, making Sable howl and shake in erotic pleasure, and her ass is fucked by a man's tongue for the very first time. The powerful way Lesnar holds her is also a big turn on for Sable, as she had spent her life around strong, powerful, inserting their dominance over her and her tiny frame. His tongue pushing into unfucked reaches of Sable's assholes, bringing her amazing wave after wave of pleasure. Her cries and groans were getting louder and louder as Lesnar's tongue goes deeper and deeper inside of her. Brock loves tongue-fucking a woman's asshole, as it's the last thing the woman expected, and it's always brought them an amazing amount of pleasure. "Fuck me, Brock! Fuck me! Keep licking my asshole, you fucking cunt! I want to come now! Fuck me, you fucker!" Sable finds herself screaming with joy as Lesnar's swiveling tongue fucks her asshole. Grinning, Brock slams his tongue in deeper into Sable's ass, hearing her howl with pleasure as he fucks her. His hands now spank Sable's tanned ass cheeks as the pleasure builds in her body, as well as his 8-inch dick starts to grow up and push into Sable's thighs. The blonde opens her eyes and she can feel Lesnar's big cock pushing against her wet inner thighs, and she moans softly, feeling his hard cockhead rubbing against her sensitive skin. Brock flicks his tongue deeper against her asshole, sending shockwaves through Sable's body, and she leaks out pre-cum all over the blue practice mat. She starts rocking back and forth against her ass into his face, and rubbing her legs around his semi-hard cock, making it grow even bigger. With Sable's body rocking, Brock takes his chance and moves his tongue out of her ass and slides her down her body. Before Sable knows what's happening, she's on her hands and knees on the mat, with Brock on his knees behind her, rubbing her ass and jerking his own cock, so that it is fully erect. He spreads her ass cheeks and places his hard cock head in between her brown cheeks and slides it into her tight asshole, making both of them cry out with pleasure. In one hard thrust, Lesnar pushes all 8 inches into Sable's asshole, filling the blonde up, making the blonde cry out as her tight ass is full to bursting point with Lesnar's hard dick. Brock's hand rubs Sable's back softly, trying to relax the blonde as he moves around inside of her, making sure he is not hurting her with his massive penis. You ready, babe? Brock says, stroking Sable's back as the blonde backs up into Sable's hips. Ready to fuck me in my tight ass, Brock? Going to get you nice and warmed up for your big match tonight. Sable goes back to her slutty, dirty talking accent. You want me to fuck your ass, Sable? You want me to rip open your tight asshole? Brock leans in, threatening Sable as his cock twitched inside her ass. Sable looks beside her with the begging look in her eyes as she stares at the near 300-pounder. Please fuck me, Brock. I need to be fucked in my ass because I'm a bad little slut, and my teasing ass is begging to be fucked. Hearing Sable begging in a girl next door, goody girl voice is too much pleasure for Brock to take, and he wraps his arms around Sable's hips and thrusts into her asshole. Sable screams as her asshole is burst open by Brock's massive tool as he thrusts into her hips with huge force. Screaming and crying, Sable digs her fingers into the plastic, holding on her hands and knees as Brock slams into her asshole. It feels like Brock is trying to break her a new asshole as he pounds all 8 inches of his dick into her tight asshole. Feeling her ass getting ripped apart, Sable moans and groans as her pussy lips are soaking wet as Brock pounds her. She loves being taken roughly, and Lesnar is doing more than what she wants as he bangs her tight ass, making her scream in pleasure. Brock thrusts in powerfully, knocking Sable forward as his massive dick is shoved up against the sphincter of Sable's ass, making the blonde bawl out in equal agony and delight. The hard slapping of Brock's hips into Sable's ass, leaving a loud flesh slapping sound fills the room. Brock is so enjoying fucking Sable's tight ass and hearing her loud groans of pain. Brock loves how much pleasure he is giving the blonde. Reaching around, Brock cups his hand around Sable's shaved pussy, feeling the heat from her dripping wet pussy lips, and his fingers touch her private areas, softly making Sable groan. Using 2 fingers, Brock teases Sable's soaking wet clit, making her cry out in sexual frustration as he plays with her own sensitive pussy lips. Oh God, Brock, this feels so good. Oh, so good. Don't stop. Please, keep going. Fuck me. Sable cries out, her eyes shut in pleasure as Brock fingers her wet clit. Go, Sable. Go, you dirty little prick tease. Come for me. I know you want to. Brock taunts the sweating blonde, thrusting his fingers in harder and faster to her soaking wet cunt. Fuck me, Brock! Fuck my slutty ass and pussy. Oh God, Brock. Sable cries out in passion as Lesnar's fingers slowly work over her swelling G-spot. The blonde is rocking backwards and forwards as Brock's massive dick pile drives her ass as hard as he can. Brock slides 8 inches of dick up and down Sable's ass as his fingers work over her pussy, bringing her to the very edge of pleasure. Pushing his fingers in deeper, Brock pushes a 3rd finger to Sable's cunt, really making the Playboy cover girl cry out like an adult movie star. Her moan sounds so good to Lesnar as he fucks both of Sable's holes, making sure to give the diva maximum pleasure. Sweat drips down his forehead as he tilts his hips hard forward, slamming his erect dick clean into her. Finger fucking her pussy hard, Lesnar smiles as Sable's moans and cries get higher and larger. His cock bounces off the walls of her asshole as Brock fucks her hard, making sure she yells out in joy. He fucks her tight ass and finger fucks her cum-coated pussy, bringing Sable wave after wave of pleasure, bringing the blonde to the brink of another orgasm. She fights hard to keep from coming, to allow Brock more time to fuck her now, loosening up asshole. The big man is forcing every ounce of energy he has in fucking Sable's ass, making sure to give on of his college's fantasies an amazing fuck session. His hips slam into her ass hard as his balls slap the underside of her cheeks, and the force of Lesnar slamming into her time after time has Sable propped up on her elbows to stop her falling down face first. Lesnar pumps faster and faster, his dick sliding up Sable's asshole, his cock really stretching out her ass as Brock drives his fingers harder into Sable's cunt. Both are panting and sweating heavily as a moan and groan from each thrust of their bodies. Her sweat-coated locks stick to Sable's face as Brock's moans get louder and higher in pitch as his hips almost become a blur as he fucks her ass. Sable knows Brock is nearing the end. Come, Brock, come into my big slutty asshole. You own my ass, Brock, and you have to come inside me. Brock tries to hold back as he tries to concentrate on finger fucking Sable, but her tight ass feels too good, and the young man from Minneapolis can hold back no more. Fuck, Sable. I'm coming. God shit, I'm coming. Brock cries out as he takes one final thrust into her ass before shooting a big load of semen right up Sable's ass. The blonde shakes as Lesnar fills her ass up with gum, but as he comes into her ass, somehow his fingers are still moving and working over her pussy. Caught by surprise as Brock's still pleasuring her while he comes, Sable slips into her orgasm, closing her eyes tight and coming all over Brock Lesnar's hands. The next minute or so is taken up with both Lesnar and Sable finishing off their massive orgasms before Brock finishes coming into her ass and pulls out. He also pulls his hand out of Sable's pussy to find his entire hand and upper wrist coated in Sable's pussy juices. Sable meanwhile falls flat on her face, feeling the sticky warm substances leak out of her ass. Both breathe hard for a bit before Lesnar picks himself and walks slowly over to his gym bag. He pulls out 2 massive gray towels and cleans himself with one before throwing the other one to Sable. They clean themselves of sweat and cum stains, and as Sable walks around the room picking up her clothes, Brock Lesnar, still totally naked, sits on a nearby bench and takes a long swing from a bottle filled with energy drink. Sable eventually finds her discarded underwear and goes over to sit next to the pan. He offers her some juice, which she drinks, and as she does, Brock leans back against the cold, solid whitewashed walls and folds his arms behind his head and takes a deep breath. Thanks, Sable. I think I really needed that warm-up, Lesnar says with a smile on his face. Sable smiles back at Brock. No, Brock, I should be thanking you. I haven't done that in a long time, and it felt so good. Lesnar gives the blonde a one-armed hug around her shoulder. It was only good because you're so awesome and sexy, babe. Blushing slightly at the compliment, Sable rests her head on Brock's six-pack. You know, Brock, seeing as your warm-up went so well, how about after we both win our matches tonight, we go back to my hotel room and give each other a good, hard warm down? Sounds good to me, Sable, says Brock, holding Sable in his arms, his mind already wondering onto what sexy surprises and joy Sable could give him in a warm down. He smiled and decided to wait and see what the sexy blonde would have in store for him. The end. This story is entitled Page of the Fall, and it is written by Literotica.com, Dax G. 2001. Backstage at the Duel Live WWE event that saw episodes of Main Event and a special Super SmackDown live airing on December 17, 2014, the gorgeous WWE Divas Champion and upcoming cast member for the new season of Total Divas, the British beauty known as Paige, is heading along backstage, having earlier in the evening competed against the beaten fellow NXT alumni Emma. She's clad in a familiar form-fitting to her sexy pale body attire of black shorts that hug to her shapely ass, with fishnet tights and black boots, and a black top that fits nicely to her perky tits.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
With a black leather jacket to go with it. As she heads along, a sight in front of her catches her attention as a group of men are having a picture taken on a cell phone. She recognizes 3 of them as her fellow WWE co-workers, reigning Mr. Money in the Bank, Seth Rollins, in his tight black wrestling ties, the imposing and bearded Luke Harper in casual attire, a far cry from the stained shirt ring gear he has, and backstage agent and on-screen security for Seth, Joey Mercury, in a black open shirt. The 4th man she also knows from watching and keeping track of the indie scene, as its current ROH worker amongst other indie promotions, Jimmy Jacobs in a white suit, like Get Up with purple shirt, working perfectly for the part of one of Adam Rose's Rosebud party posse from SmackDown. Getting an idea that makes her smirk and lick her lips, she changes course to head towards the 4 as Mercury is handed back his cell phone, and the group looks over the picture taken. Hello there, boys. Not up to any trouble, are you? She teases as she eyes up the 4 men. Nah, that's your department to cause trouble, Seth says, with a smirk as the men, quite rightly, turn their attention towards her. From that look in your eyes, I know exactly what trouble you're after. Who, me? Paige fake shocks as she tossed her long, dark hair back. Never. Never. I just stopped by to introduce myself to your friend here, Jimmy Jacobs. Right? Yeah, that's me alright, Jimmy says with a smile. Did you see social media explode over me appearing on Raw last night to remember my name? He jokes, a little. Hey, I came from the Indies, so I keep tabs on ROH and all the rest of it. I've got to. Otherwise my mom will kick my arse for not watching Shimmer still. Paige replies as she glances between the men. So, what's all this about anyway? Got a bit of one of those things not like the other deal going on here? Something that might make the internet freak out, Joey says with a chuckle. An Age of the Fall reunion here in the WWE. Well, backstage at least, but it counts. Going to send it to the old booker who knew what he was doing with ROH back in the day, just for old time's sake. It also might not happen again. If they finally figure out if they are properly turning Rose Hill to kill off the party gimmick or not, Harper adds with a laugh of his own. So, a one-off special, huh? Paige smirks as she puts her hands on her shapely hips. Sounds to me like you guys should make sure this is a special night. One to really remember, she says, with a rather openly seductive tone. Like I said, you came here to cause trouble. Seth shakes his two-toned haired head slightly with a smirk. But if it's that kind of trouble that leads to you with no clothes, I'm not going to say no. How about you, Jimmy? He asks, looking to his longtime friend and former tag partner from the Indies. An open invite for a fuck? You must have really forgotten the good old days we used to have if you think I'd say no. Jimmy says with a big smile as he gives Paige an approving look over. Good. But when I said special, I mean special. That means I want to get shagged by all four of you, she states, casting her gaze onto the other two men. Some things never change around here, Mercury says with a smile and a nod, showing he's more than happy about this. Don't you worry, girl. I'm more than ready to give you what you're looking for, Luke states, with a similarly wide smile to the other men here, jumping at the chance to get a piece of the red-hot anti-diva. That's what I fucking hope to hear, Paige says with another lick of her lips. So, where's the nearest locker room? Minutes later, in one of the locker rooms set aside for WWE superstars, the sultry diva of tomorrow is licking her lips with wide, lustful eyes as she sees the four naked wrestlers in front of her, each displaying mouth-watering sights of hard cocks, with all of them being far better sized than average. Tossing her leather jacket aside, she wastes no time in pulling her black top up and over her body to show off her perky peltits, and hauls her black bottoms down to step out of them, allowing her gorgeous rounded ass and shaved pussy to be seen, as she stays in only fishnet stockings and black boots. Somebody get the fuck on the floor so I can get my twat stuffed, she demands with a grin, reaching down to her crotch to eagerly rip a hole in them so her pussy is fully available. Then, someone stick their fucking cock in my mouth, because seeing all these dicks have got me hungry, Paige adds with a lick of her teeth. Since I'm the guest around here, I might as well take the ride, Jimmy says, with a smirk, moving down to lay on the floor, and immediately Paige mounts him, with her backside sticking out towards him, making them both moan as she sinks down and takes his dick up into her snatch. I ain't gonna pass up this kind of shot, Harper states with a chuckle, moving right in front of the horny beauty and fulfilling her request as he pushes his fat rod into her open, groaning mouth. Oomph! Mmm. The British diva groans as she gives a lustful gaze up at the three superstars in front of her now, her hands reaching up to grab and pump the two at either side, while she wraps her lips around the moaning male in front of her, leaving her handling four big American cocks at the same time, with two already in her holes just moments of starting, beginning to work her pussy up and down on the shaft she's on top of. She also gets to work using her head with a rocking motion, feeding Luke's dick deep into her nicely damp and warm oral hole. Mmm! 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 She groans as she sucks on Luke's member, keeping her lips perfectly pressed around him as she runs her mouth back and forth over those inches, and making sure to pleasure the two groaning studs she's stroking off to make sure they stay nice and hard for her. Ah, shit! That's the stuff right there. Ah! The former Intercontinental Champion moans with a rod of his bushy bearded head, watching sexy raven-headed haired beauty sucking him off with steady and smooth motions along his tool, showing great skill already as she's able to take him in deep without even gagging for a moment. Guess all the stories about her, are damn true after all. Harper chuckles, staring down at that pretty face, as she slurps away on his man meat, getting him nice and slick with her saliva with frisky slaps of her tongue on his underside, as his dick passes in and out between her pouty lips. He's not along in moaning with her actions, as she keeps on sucking him while delivering swift handjobs to the other two WWE stars on either side of her, while keeping a flowing and firm riding pace on the cock of the handsome indie star she's mounted on top of. I don't know about that, she feels. Real fucking tight to me. Jacob states with a moan, pumping his cock up into that bouncing snug pussy that's being moved quickly along his entire length, her fishnet tights covered ass smacking down into his toned midsection. When she drops down to take him balls deep, now further helped by the thrusting that's making them both moan out. Ah! And that's no bad thing at all, The former and current leader of many stables across the indie scene moans out as he matches her all too eager riding pace on his stick. Already a sharp of skin meeting skin, ringing out when he pumps up, and she lowers herself down to bounce away on a shaft. Even while taking a dick like, she's still able to multitask, as she delivers a couple more deep sucks onto Luke's cock before lifting her head away, barely stopping to take in breath as she turns her head, now taking Roland's cock into her hungry mouth and using a hand to jerk off the rod she had been blowing. Too damn right, it's not a bad thing. The current Money in the Bank contract holder says with a smirk and a moan, staring down to lock a gaze with the smoking hot and lustful eyes of the former WWE Divas champion as she bobs away onto his stool, her own muffled groans bouncing off his inches while she blows them firmly and jerks off the two just as Lengthy pricks in her hands. Ah! Especially when it's someone who knows what they're fucking. Roland's adds, seeing how deeply she's pushed her head down onto his cock before quickly lifting up to about his head and then pushing straight back down, making him have to reach down and push her long dark hair out of the way as the effort of her motion is making these long locks sway greatly when she bobs her head. You guys should have been there at the Performance Center. And seeing how Paige prefers to get trained by an NXT locker room.
Come get on my train.
The former member of the M&M tag team says with a groan, getting plenty of pleasure out of just being jerked off by the gorgeous diva, as she jerks him and Harper off while sucking away on Seth's dick, and bouncing her pale and desirably curved body onto the dick of Jacobs underneath her. Hearing that line, Paige smirks around the dick she's sucking off, pulling her head away and switching her hands to grip Roland's now, as well as Luke, allowing her to turn her head the opposite way and now start to blow Mercury with the passion. Oh shit. Yeah, I remember now. Mercury grins down at the naughty stunner as she now slurps on its man-meat, her full lips gliding back and forth along his tool, while she strokes off the other two standing studs and makes her right breast bounce, as she keeps up a steady riding pace on the fourth cock she's handling to clearly show that despite her young age, she knows how to fuck. The first diva to have been the champion of the NXT and WWE Divas divisions, let alone at the same time, lets out a loud, muffled moan around the cock she's sucking off, making sure to leave it with a nice cutting in her first saliva. Just like the other two, she's blown rather shamelessly as the locker room gangbang has only just gotten started. She casts sultry glances at the three superstars in front of her, while she blows and strokes their lengths, leaving her fingers sticky with her own spit that's also beginning to seep past her lips from the repeated emotion she's been doing on whatever talented dick has been taken into her talented oral hole. At the same time, she's showing no favoritism to the talented wrestler not currently in the WWE, bouncing away on Jimmy's dick as he thrusts right up into her already noticeably wet pussy, ensuring they both moan as she takes him to the hilt with pump after steady pump that alone would make any red-blooded woman feel more than just good. Lifting her head up and off, she gives Joey's cock a quick flick of the tongue across the tip while giving Seth and Luke a last stroke. Fuck yeah. Big hard cocks. That's what I fucking love. Paige moans with a grin, giving a couple more bounces before she lifts herself up from Jacobs to stand up. You ready to get fucking blown or what, stud? She invites with a smirk, turning around to bend over forwards as she licks her lips invitingly. I'm definitely down with that, Jimmy states as he stands up from the locker room floor to stand in front of her, groaning as she grips his cock by the base to pump him a couple of times. Meanwhile, Harper has moved up behind her, tearing a further hole in her fishnet tights for a better view of that sexy pale ass as he lines his cock up with her wet snatch. You're sure you're going to last at this rate? He questions, noticing beads of sweat already forming over her backside as he pushes his dick into her twat. Because I know I ain't finished anytime soon. Just you fucking worry about buggering my bloody brains out. Paige grins back at him before turning back to gaze up at the hunk in front of her. I just get really fucking horny when it comes to nice big cocks, she adds, before hungrily pushing her face down to take his dick right up into her mouth. The former WWE Divas champion moans with sinful delight as she feels the former Wyatt family members start to pump deeply into her wet and snug snatch from behind, his waist soon connecting into her now barely covered with tights as he bangs her as she demanded, with stiff pumps and a steady rhythm. She groans around the cock she's sucking, her head swiftly moving back and forth effortlessly as her long, raven hair sways in time with the back and forth motion she's using, letting him feel how soft and made for sucking dick her lips are, to make him moan out as she handles those thick inches with ease. Just as she's going to work between these two, she's reminded of the other two sports entertainers involved in this as her arms get brought up and to the sides, and with glances to each man, she's soon gripping the raw cartilage to stroke them both off, and yet again pleasure for hung men at the same time. Looks like it doesn't matter if it's around the WWE. Or across the indies. Jacob groans, holding her hair back behind her head, so he can get a full view of her gorgeous face moving back and forth over his length, already applying plenty of saliva onto his rod as it trickles past her lips and down her chin, only serving to make the horny anti-diva even hotter than usual as she slobbers over his shaft. Female wrestlers. Will always be up some fun back away from the fans. The former multi-time ROH Tag Team Champion says with a groan, loving the feeling of his manhood being taken so deeply into her soothing and warm oral hole. Her lips still perfectly wrapped all around his meat as she steadily and forcefully rocks her head along almost all of his inches, putting on a porn star performance just from sucking dick.
And the winner is...
Hell, Jimmy. I think it's even worse around these parts. The former Brody Lee of ROH and Shakara grunts as he drives his cock deeply forward into her tight and already wet pussy, able to stare down at her ass cheeks that jiggle when he thrusts forward to go balls deep with his bump, and as she pushes back sharply to make double sure that every part of that fat cock is stuffed into her needy cunt. Or better, depending on how you look at it. He adds with a smirk, putting his size and strength to great use as he slams his dick forward stiffly into the wonderfully tight box of the former Shimmer and Pro Wrestling Eve Starlet bent over in front of him, as she rocks her body back and forth between the two former H of the Fall stablemates while stroking off two other former members of that group at either side of her. Oh, it's a good thing. A damn good thing around here. The former full-time WWE superstar turned backstage agent moans as his cock continues to be expertly stroked with quick hand motions. The other hunk getting jerked off, smiling and grinning with pleasure at the getting gangbang diva. The men are sounding lets out muffled grunts of her own as she takes a bent over, spit roasting like it's an all too regular occurrence to her. How about we switch places? It's nice to have a diva who won't whine and complain about other divas on the roster while she's getting out. Mercury says as a step to an apparent former valet of his from years ago, but for the moment the diva currently getting stuffed full with dick in two holes isn't quite ready to stop the motion for the moment. She delivers a few more deep slurps onto the cock she's got deep into her mouth to coat it with spit, and rocks back against the pumps, going straight forward into her sweet pussy. That's very wet, even after only taking a few cocks into her since the locker room encounter got started. It's fucking fine by me. Haven't met a diva yet that I could turn down a hookup with. Seth says, with a smirk as the grabblers move around her, take up positions, not letting her move out from behind, bent over forwards as now Joey's behind her, pushing his cock into that snug pussy so she can start to bang her while Rollins feeds Paige his meaty length that she all too eagerly starts to quickly blow. NXT, WWE are back in the indies. There's plenty of sluts waiting to be pleased. He groans as he grips her long, dark hair, opting to thrust his shaft in and out of her warm and wet mouth, even as she bobs away onto him, just causing them both to groan with delight, as even when the crown of his cock touches the back of her mouth, the increasingly whorish-looking diva doesn't gag for a moment. The first ever NXT Women's Champion lets out loud, muffled moans of lustful pleasure as she once again rocks herself between two hung-hungs to take their shafts deep into her mouth and her tight but very wet now twat, and at the same time jerking off two other long cocks at either side of her that leaves her fingers coated with saliva and her own pussy juices off of those respective shafts. It doesn't bother her one bit, nor does the dirty talk made by the men surrounding and using her, as she focuses on sucking away on the dick in front of her as she gets face fucked by it, and has her snatch filled up from behind with firm and quick thrusts that she forcefully pushes back against. Paige continues to grunt out sinfully around the dick she's sucking off, while it's being pumped deep between her lovely, pouty lips, saliva dripping off that rod and down her chin, while she just as sluttily works her pale and gorgeously curved body against the man pumping her from behind, and still jerking off the other two men involved in this already steamy locker room fuck. Oh shit. Yeah, she's fucking good. Joey confirms the obvious as he plunges his rod in, balls deep, into the stunning WWE Divas wet snatch. His nicely muscular waist connecting with a slap into her rounded backside as she pushes herself backward, hard to meet every one of his pumps, showing she knows exactly how to get the most out of a cock being given to her, even in a gangbang like this. Can't wait. To tap this hot fucking ass of hers as well, he adds, giving her butt a spank through the semi-torn fishnet ties she still has on. To go with her black boots, the only clothing the woman once dubbed Miss Hell in boots has on her pale, sexy, and now starting to be covered with sweat body, continues to rock back and forth between the two hunks, pumping away into her holes to make her sandwich. Hearing that, she lifts her head away from the dick she's been deep-throating, grinning and glancing at all four men as she stops pushing back against the fucking she's taken. I was. Fucking wondering what you wankers would get to the good stuff.
Welcome to the good life.
Paige says, with her voice dripping with desire, there better be some fucking lube around here. She adds with a groan as Joey pulls out of her snatch. Lube? In the WWE locker room? Never heard of it. Mercury says with a chuckle as he moves over towards the locker where a couple of travel bags are. Back across the room, Seth has pulled a bench over to the middle of the room in order to lay on top of it. In turn, allow the gorgeous Torna Diva to mount his cock with her tight, wet pussy as she rests her hands on his desirable chest. I'm amazed at how you still keep yourself tight, considering how much of a locker room slut you are. He says up to her, his point proven by the fact she doesn't waste and starting to bounce away on his dick, her legs on either side of the bench and rocking back with her feet, and tiptoes to work that big cock into her needy snatch. Damn! Fucking rod I am. Paige shamelessly moans with a grin. I'm a filthy fucking slut. When it comes to big fucking cocks, she's able to groan out, before her cries are muffled by the imposing Harper grabbing her hair to turn her head towards him, allowing him to stuff his member into her eager to pleasure oral hole. And here I was thinking, it was huge personality getting me some action here. Lee moans with a chuckle, watching as the pretty facial features of the slutty beauty moves slowly back and forth along his fat and lengthy shaft. As the first woman to have held the WWE Divas and NXT Women's Championship, sucks him off deeply and swiftly, showing the kind of oral talent veteran porn stars could only dream of possessing. While she handles that dick and rocks herself on the piston member, being sent right up into her dripping, wet but snug snatch, spread and lubed. The feeling of her ass being spread and lubed onto her asshole makes her groan as she gazes lustfully back, seeing Jacobs behind her with a smirk on his handsome face. But I'm glad as hell to be getting a piece of this. The recently former IC champ groans, getting a hold of that sexy long dark hair as she moves her head back and forth onto his pole, soon closing her eyes as she moans loudly upon taking another cock now.
Fuck!
That forces its way past her extremely tight asshole, leaving her triple stuffed but still moving herself fully between the trio of former members at the age of the Falls stable. Oh shit! Damn! For a self-proclaimed slut. This is one fucking awesome tight ass. The former 5-time ROH World Tag Team Champion moans his approval as he thrusts his dick back and forth into the pale, gorgeous ass of the former Pro Wrestling Eve champion as she pushes her sweat-covered body back against his steady pumps, craving as he is to get that long rod even further into her tightness. Fuck! This one! She's one of a damn kind, that's for sure.
It's damn true.
Jimmy notes with a grin of pleasure, as even with all three of her holes being filled up, it's clearly not enough for the whorish sports entertainer, as she bounces on the dick being thrust up into her snatch, rapidly bobs her head on the saliva-drenched dick stuffed into her mouth, and now has her ass getting banged from behind, all at the same time. Her deep moans of shameless joy remain muffled as she slobbers away on the dick of Harper, while getting her lower holes filled by the tag team once known as DIFH. Her soaking wet snatch getting filled up with cock while her shapely, desirable backside is getting firmly fucked while she keeps on rocking between the three hunk grapplers. Paige lets out another long and loud groan, her eyes rolling up almost back into her head while she bounces and starts to suddenly come hard on Seth's cock. sending a flood of juices down over his length, while pressing her face right down to deep throat Luke's dick, and all the while having Jacobs tapping that ass with stiff pumps. Her orgasm isn't making her stop though, as even as she comes, she continues to grind her pale and beautiful frame against the thrust, still coming quick and hard into her rump and twat, ensuring they keep moaning, as well as no sooner does her sexual peak start to fade away. The dirty diva of tomorrow is right back at it with a swift and sudden riding motion. Holy shit. She doesn't go for rest periods, it seems. The two-toned haired hunk moans as he slides his hands up onto her jiggling breasts, squeezing them while she bounces away onto his thirsty member that he delivers right to the base into her. So the slap of skin meeting skin sounds out around the locker room, along with the rest of the moans from all involved. While the slutty British stunner might not be stopping, the other hung Americans are switching things up as Jacob pulls out of her ass, allowing the lubed-up Mercury to push his stick onto that booty, and Luke now takes a break in order for Jacobs to feed her his cock. Fuck. She gets better and better. With each damn fuck as well. The former ROH World Champion groans as he rams his manhood right up into the rolling snatch of the horny, to say the least, WWE Eva that's mounted on top of him, and is once again working over 3 long dicks at the same time to make all 3 of her pleasurable, fuckable holes be filled up and taking deep and firm thrusts. Fuck. She doesn't mind going ass to mouth either. Jacob moans as he watches the former Brittany Knight shimmer, sucking him off with almost deep thrust motions, showing little concern about the taste of her own back passage as she's getting from his rod, as she swiftly works her lips back and forth along that member that had just been fucking her the ass. I don't think that's what Death Ray taught her students at that performance center. The multi-time former singles and tag team champion across the Indies grins out with closed eyes, loving the feeling of his member being taken in deeply into such a warm, damp, and hungry for cockmouth, as once again her saliva is dripping off of his inches, even just a few minutes after starting to blow him. You haven't. Shit. Scene that I have down at the PC, Jimmy. The former 3-time WWE Tag Team Champion smirks with a moan, sliding his shaft into the sexy and toned ass of the former 2-time WWE Champions, making her rock back against a smooth and steady motion as she looks to get as much of his cock into the stunner, who already has her mouth and snatch more than filled up with dick at the same time. You can walk into some pretty awesome stuff around there. Here. Any fucking where these days. He grunts, drops the sweat forming on his face and head as the effects of matching the lust-drunk diva start to appear on him and the other men involved in the locker room gangbang, as the diva tomorrow continues to show both her sexual ability and desire to be taken hard as she keeps on bouncing her pale and gorgeous body between the 3 men she's currently getting nailed by in her ass, snatch, and mouth. Giving a few more deep sucks onto Jacob's lip, she pulls away with a moan and a gasp, biting down at her bottom lip again as she rocks between the thrusts into her lower holes. Looking to the side at Harper watching on and stroking his member, she licks her lips with a lustful gaze at that dick. More! Fuck! I need more! More fucking cock! She almost screams as she grits her teeth, glancing at all the grapplers around her. In that case, get off on me, guys, Seth says, as he stops his pumps up into that wet snatch, even though she still bounces on him for a few more moments. I've got an idea. That should give her what she fucking needs. Hurry. I need those dicks inside me. Paige begs like a filthy slut as she's lifted off of Rollins by Mercury and Harper. But it's not long before she's got cock back inside her, as Seth directs traffic.
He really is the architect.
Having Joey laying on the bench and the sweat covered eagerly mounts his dick, with her snatch all the way to the base. Made to lean forward, her head gets turned to the side as Luke stuffs her open, grinning a mouthful with his rod, and starts to pump her, distracting her as the 2 remaining men lube their cocks up as they approach the others. If this doesn't put out the fire, then we need more guys in here to stuff her up. The first ever NXT champion says as he squats over her, pushing his dick into the nicely toned and pale ass of the first ever NXT women's champion. But instead of starting to bang her, he waits as the longtime ROH star comes up, pushing his dick alongside his former partner in the Indies, in order to double stuff her sexy ass.
A double pleasure's waiting for you.
Fuck. Been a long time, since we've done a proper double team. on a big like this. Rollins grunts as he begins to ease his dick in and out of her, filled to the max back passage, grunting from the pleasure of the increased tightness around his length and having no issues with his cock grinding against another man's shaft, as Jacobs also pumps himself into and out of that stretched asshole, showing that indeed the two longtime friends have done this before. The slutty beauty lets out a moan that's impressively loud, even with her mouth being filled up with dick. As she takes a face fucking while still managing to bob her dark-haired head along her upper shaft, and able to rock herself against a trio of thrusts into her lower holes, with one shaft driving deep into her dripping wet snatch, while two work in and out of her shapely back hole. Ugh! Oof! She groans as her body jolts back and forth against the stiff pumps ravaging her backside as sweat drips off her pale but sexy frame, her perky breasts bouncing as she moves against those deep thrusts into her lower holes, and she fights her best to keep her lips wrapped around that fourth, just as long and fat prick, while its crown smacks repeatedly into the back of her damp and smoothing mouth. Ah, fuck. Ugh. Holy fuck. So fucking good. The current on-screen member of J&J Security groans as he tries to match his still impressive and less driven pace the second-generation diva is using to bounce on that pistoning shaft with her still nicely tight but dripping wet cunt that feels built to be fucked hard and fast like this, and like she has been all through this locker room gangbang. Oh shit! God to fucking love! The diva's days, Joey says, with a deep groan, sweat dripping from his face, and nicely muscular for a retired WWE superstar body. His pull, driving that balls deep into the alluring, raven-haired beauty, who has taken 3 other cocks along with his, at the same time to make her look more like a filthy, desperate whore than the talented pro wrestler she is. Must be something about, fuck, the water around here. The former Birdie Lee of the Indies moans as he feeds his mammy deep into the swiftly bobbing oral head of the stunner who carved a career for years across Europe as Brittany Knight. But for now, she's showing she can make a killer career as a porn actress from the way she's handling taking 4 cocks at the same time. And damn does it ever feel great, he adds with a groan, gasping in air as he enjoys the amazing feeling of his length being surrounded by her damp and pleasurably warm mouth. The sensation's all the more better by her sucking off that thrusting dick at the same time, as her saliva drips from her chin and off of that cock, landing down onto her pale and perfectly rounded tits, as she continues to deeply suck him off. Shit. Feels. Fuck. Damn fucking good back here too. The only non-WWE contracted wrestler involved in this hard and hot gangbang moans as he shows he's more than capable of hanging with the others here, as he uses a steady and firm thrusting pace to work his cock forward into her made-to-be pounded backside, alongside the shaft of his former tag team partner in the Indies. Fuck yeah. Jimmy grunts as he stiffly pumps his dick into that shapely pale and gorgeous rib, her cheeks jiggling erotically as her body rocks roughly in response to the dual pumping her ass is taking, along with the balls deep thrusting her soaking wet snatch is taken at the same time, to go along with the rapid sucking she's doing on the cock that's stuffed right into her mouth. The sweat-soaked diva screams out. Around the cock she is deep-throating, once again grinding down hard on the cock, slamming into her lower holes as her eyes roll upwards in another slutty and shameless display.
Oh God.
As Paige yet again starts the organ, this time from the 4th thick and long American cock driving into her stunning British body. She keeps her body rocking back and forth, still craving those pumping rods as two stretch and stuff her ass from behind, and the shaft underneath keeps slamming balls deep into her snatch that sends out another flood of fluids to coat that prick. And it's only as she comes down from that sexual high does her bobby motions start to finally ease up on that last, but not least, dick. Fuck. Oh man, this is too much. Jimmy groans, with a gasp, having to pull out of her back passage as he feels his dick starting to throb noticeably. I'm right there with you, Jimmy. Just like old times, Seth says, as he steps back from fucking that pal butt, her asshole now left gaping from the hard double stuffing she'd just been. Oh fuck. So fucking good. Paige groans between a large gasp of air when Luke steps away to finally free her mouth, still in a daze from another intense orgasm, so she offers no resistance as she's lifted off of Joey and then set down on the floor of the locker room, soon finding herself surrounded by the 4 wrestling studs who have been pounding her brains out. Fuck yeah. Oh, wank those fucking cocks for me. I want to be fucking covered with all that cum. The still horny for more WWE Diva demands, sitting up on her knees, closing her eyes, and brushing her long, sweat-drenched hair back as she licks her lips, gazing up and looking between all their dicks as she watches them rapidly jerking off, eager to take a creamy finish to top up a fantastic fucking that's left all of her holes more than simply just well pounded. She doesn't have to wait long before that starts to happen, as first Joey Mercury starts to blow his load. A thick shot of jizz firing out and splashing onto Paige's left cheek, and across to the nose. The next couple of shots hitting the side of her face and her chin before the rest strokes out to land down onto her perky pale tits, which makes her run her hands up to rub the spunk over her already sweat-covered skin. Moments later, it's the turn of the imposing Luke Harper, with the first couple of shots missing her forehead, and instead letting in that sexy long raven hair, but it's still enough to make her moan. But the following shots hit the mark as more warm spunk splashes down onto her forehead, over her right eye and eyelash, and down onto her cheek, making her smirk as she feels him rubbing the crown of his dick to properly clean off his cock. Staying down on her knees like a good little slut, she keeps her head tilted back, just a little in order to take the final round of loads, as if ROH World Tag Team Championship duo now come forward to blast away, as both Jimmy Jacobs and Seth Rollins splatter spunk all across her pretty facial features, to leave her further covered with jizz. She can't help but lick her lips as stream of jizz land like the end of a cocky porn film due to the massive amount of cum that has been sent all over her face and staining her hair. But the slutty smile on her face shows she loves the feeling as the studs stroke out the final drops of their big loads onto the stunning former WWE Divas champion. That's what I was bloody hoping for, boys, Paige says, with a dirty laugh, reaching up to wipe away spunk from near her eyes, before promptly putting the collected spunk from her fingers into her mouth, sucking the digits clean and swallowing down that spunk. Shit! Talk about wild! Jimmy chuckles as he wipes sweat from off his forehead as he draws in breath. An age of the fall reunion to always remember, right? Seth laughs as he also breathes deeply to cover from the intense fucking they've all been involved. You say that like it's over with. She smirks up at them, rather shakily, but still impressively able to get up to her feet, to stand under her own power. I was hoping that maybe we can hit the showers and get even dirtier rather than cleaner. I don't know. I should be, being a proper agent around here and all that, Joey says with a smirk that shows he doesn't exactly plan on leaving anytime soon. Hell, I didn't get to pound that hot little ass of yours yet, so I'm ready for another round, Luke states, as he runs his hand through his sweat-drenched hair. And you two? Paige invites as she looks to the duo formerly known as DIFH. Shrugging his shoulder, Jimmy smirks. If we're playing the Las Vegas card, with what happens in WWE stays in WWE, I'm damn well happy to do that again. Sorry to sound corny, but fucking you again sounds fucking best for business, Seth adds with a chuckle. That's what I fucking hope to hear, she says with a lick of her lips. Now, get those cocks fucking hard again. And let's do this. And if any other superstars pop in here, they can join in. The end. Thank you for listening to episode 8 of Wrestle Erotica. Please be sure to check us out on Stitcher, Player.fm, Facebook, our mini episodes on Vimeo, and as always, our website, WrestleEroticapod.com. Thank you and have a good week.